Well, we made it, so there's that. By the way, the chat box, I always forget about it when we switch back onto Zoom. So make sure you open that chat box so that you can, offer in any input throughout. Yeah, so another Wednesday. This week has been more than I would say the usual crazy. I'm trying to be sensitive throughout this entire Zoom. I know this is a very triggering topic, and not everyone wants to have to deal with all of this all day and then come here to the group lesson and have it rehashed again. So I will tell you what this is and what this isn't. This isn't a place for us to vent about what's going on. This is a place where we're going to chat about it. I'm going to try and offer you some solutions to help you process it and make sure that you're still caring for hormones no matter what, because that's our goal. So if you're feeling emotional during, or there's something you need to get out, you can feel free to text it to me privately. But I just ask that during this particular class today, we don't get into it any further than just what we're discussing here. But do not hesitate to text me if you're feeling any kinds of emotions you're having a hard time processing regardless. So that being said, it's so difficult when it's something that you feel morally so connected to, because it's not just, a virus. It's happening to everybody and it's cut and dry and there's certain facts. I mean, there's just so much interpretation and there's so much emotion tied into what's going on that you feel like an asshole for not being connected and staying updated and being present. And there's people going through so much worse. What I'm a wuss for needing to bow out of social media. It's the least I could do is be present. That's a lot of stuff we tell ourselves, and it's not helpful. It's not helpful for the people we're trying to help necessarily. It's not helpful for us, for our future, for the possibility of solutions. It's just not helpful, because it's no longer coming from a place of being proactive. It's coming from a place of either, just raw emotion or defensiveness. So I'm going to start today with my two favorite examples that I think are super pertinent to what's going on right now. Bear with me. My vets in here, my veterans know my voice is always cracking by the time we get to our Zoom. So the first example I'm going to give you, and again, my vets in here have heard this a million times, but the airplane example. When you're on the airplane and they're going through all of the safety procedures and they're explaining, there's the exit and then the bag, and you got to pull the life vest. What else do they tell you about the air mask? They tell you specifically not to put it on anyone else. They tell you to put it on yourself first, absolutely first. And the reason is pretty simple. You can't help anybody else if you can't, relevant. If you can't breathe, you can't help anyone else. So, it's important to remember that when we're feeling selfish for thinking of ourselves, or we're feeling like we're not prioritizing the right thing, you are able to do so much more if you are prioritizing yourself. And in the long run too, you getting sick right now doesn't help anyone or anything. And so it needs to be a priority. So remember that. They tell you to put the mask on yourself because you can't help anyone else if you can't breathe. So, and the other example is thermostat thermometer. So this is something I have had to be reminding myself of. I've talked to a bunch of you guys on our calls this week. I've brought this up. It is my one of my main pillars of belief. And that is the thermometer, right? Thermometer goes up and down with the temperature of the room. The temperature of your surroundings dictates what temperature the thermometer is at. The thermostat, however, it sets the temperature in the room. It dictates the temperature of the room. It doesn't go up and down. It stays at that constant. And the goal, while not always realistic, the goal at least is to try and be your thermostat. Don't be the thermometer, be the thermostat. You can still convey your point. You can still choose to move on, however it is you choose to move on, and be your own thermostat. It's super difficult to do that right now, especially, and I get that, but your best chance at making any impact in your life, anyone else's life, anything right now, is to be that thermostat. So share with me your thoughts on that. I know some of you guys have heard that a million times by now, but in the chat, tell me what your thoughts are on those two philosophies, the airplane and the thermostat. Now, as you're typing that out, I want to tell you, I had 2 calls today where I recommended this, and that is, if you can't get behind affirmations, let's say, then get behind mantras, things that you repeat to yourself. And I have another Zoom on that. So if you want to see it again, tell me, I'll tag you. But if you're going into a situation and you know it's going to be really heated for you and it's going to be difficult to maintain your thermostat, you can even just close your eyes. And I had to do it yesterday a few times by the end of the night for sure. And just breathe and say, like, I can be the thermostat. Like, I don't need to change my temperature. My temp stays the same. I can handle this and keep my temp. Just repeat those things to yourself. And it not saying it's going to be the cure-all, but it does help a lot. Alyssa, I like the airplane example because it acknowledges there's turbulence, and with things as they are, everyone has a lot of feelings, but it reminds me it's okay and vital for me to let myself breathe too. Absolutely. You know, and you need that. You need it. It's okay to need something. Like, it's okay to need time for yourself, to need to just unplug for a little bit. You know, it's not like, I'm going to tangent, but I cover what I'm about to say. And I tried to keep notes to keep us on task this time, guys. Let's see. So, the stress of the times. I think it's safe to say at this point, 2020 is just like giving us dares. Like, every month it's like a new double dog dare, where it's like, you thought last month was bad. Just wait. You know, so let's just say we're gonna follow this pattern. You want to stay in the moment. Don't let it compound and compile on each other. But what are you feeling in that moment? What is the emotion? We get so used to just feeling without knowing what we're feeling. But stopping and saying to ourselves, like, what exactly is this feeling? Like, do I feel it in my gut right now? Is my face hot? Like, do my ears feel like they're pulsing? Like, what am I feeling right now emotionally? Am I pissed? Am I upset? Am I sad? Am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling bored? You know, pinpoint what the hell it is that you're feeling in that moment. Whatever it is, doesn't have to make sense. You just got to be able to narrow that down. Figure that out, and then try to think of why that is. And then I'm going to give you guys a little process here. What I want to share. I want to let me share my screen. Oh, there it is. Not letting me share my screen. Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat. Okay, so first step is cut it off. Okay, cut it off, meaning, okay, say your piece, do your thing, and then stop scrolling. Get off of social media. I don't mean forever. And I understand with the topic at hand right now, it is like I said before, you feel irresponsible getting offline, but it's not forever. It just means that if you've said what you had to say, why do you have to see the same post written in a different way by a different Facebook friend all day long? It's going to keep you right in that mood that you were in the first time you read that post that pissed you off. It's going to keep you in that mode all day, and it's going to filter into other things. It's going to take emotional energy out of you, so you're having a harder time getting your work done, or you're having a harder time feeling motivated to be physical, you know, like go outside or whatever. Or you know what? Maybe you were gonna try getting some booty that night, but now you've been pissed off all day. So you're like, I don't even want to think about it. Why? You've said your piece. Your friends have all said their piece, basically. You know, there's nothing else that can be accomplished beyond that besides aggravation. It's not about denying or avoiding things. It's about being intentional with things. If you're going to log on to Facebook or Instagram, be intentional with your time. You know, don't just go on there to see how what the hell's going on, because we all know what's going on right now. You know, there's other ways to use that energy. So cut it off, you know, delete the app. So you have to log in and be intentional, because you can still do it on a computer. Or you can set a time limit if you want on your, I have no idea how to do this, to be honest with you. I'll get someone to explain it to me. I'm like a grandma when it comes to technology. But you can set a time limit for usage on the app per week or per day. So you can set that so your phone literally will not let you go on anymore. Whatever it is you need to do, don't continue to immerse yourself in a situation that you can't do any good in, and that will continue to drain you and hurt your hormones and make everything else harder. Second part, get it out. Get it out. Whether you have to write something, whether it's just in your notepad in your phone, whether it's you're voice noting something. Let's say if you don't want to write it out, and it doesn't have to make any damn sense. Lord knows when we try to make sense and we're voice recording, it never picks up on it, makes us sound crazy. So whatever though, but just get it out. Do you want to draw something? You know, do you want to go, if you guys saw Dead to Me, the show on Netflix, where she like screams heavy metal at the top of her lungs? Maybe don't do that out in public right now, but like maybe pull down the block a little bit, you know, and just blast heavy metal and scream. I don't know, whatever you got to do. Go float in the water if that's accessible to you, and just go underwater and freaking scream. Whatever. Crazy times, crazy solutions. Okay. So, but get it out. Don't just say to yourself, it's time to let it go and think that that's going to happen. You've been, you know, bottling up all that emotion all day long. It's got to blow. So wouldn't you rather choose how that happens than to let it happen watching a friggin' ASPCA commercial, or, you know, your partner drops something on the floor and you want to rip their head off? You pick when that blows. And if you get it out in a way that's intentional, you can. And then I have a unique way to look at this last point that I'm a little scared, but we'll say, okay. But aftercare. Now, I don't know how adventurous everybody is here, how familiar anyone here is with the BDSM realm. Oh, we're not going too far into that world. Trust me, there's a point, okay? But the basic concept is, like, BDSM is like, that's like rough sex, basically. The concept is that during your cortisol, which is what we talk about all the time, is jacked up. Whose iPhone that just said that? I was like, yes, Michelle. But everyone's cortisol is like jacked up. And then, you know, you have these stress hormones that are happening. It's usually why you can't really even feel pain at that time. So if any of you guys have had a high pain day, you know, you reach that point where it's like, it almost, you become numb to it because you're just like on autopilot and going. And then when you stop, it all catches up to you, right? It's the same response. It's the same pain response. Our body releases hormones. Hey, Britt. Our body releases hormones that makes us, you know, not feel pain, like fight or flight response. It makes us just, you know, go, get the momentum. And then it stops and there's a drop. And it's something called sub-drop in that realm of things. But the point behind it is, when you no longer have that adrenaline, you no longer have that cortisol rushing through, you no longer have all that, you've depleted all of, you know, the good, happy hormones that come with it. And then you're just left there feeling like completely burnt out, completely just like a truck hit you. Similar to after a panic attack, just not as fun as an example. But, you know, the point is that in BDSM, they take aftercare extremely seriously. And that might be food. It might be a warm blanket. It might be cuddling, dimming the lights a little bit, putting something heartwarming on the TV. But actually taking the time to be comforting. And the biggest one here, when I say food, having comfort foods that are hormone friendly is going to be extremely important. So I'm going to give you guys some action steps after this, but the point of aftercare is to help you kind of slowly, gradually come down off of, you know, the adrenaline, the cortisol of getting it out, you know, just letting it all out. And then trying to slowly release the good hormones, serotonin, the oxytocin, the things that make you feel pleasant. Because we do not have any of that happening right now, I feel like. So make a little protocol for yourself. After a particularly stressful day, how are you going to get it out, right? And then what is your aftercare plan? Do you have a particular like super comfy sweatshirt? Do you have like you know, a particular movie that you're gonna put on? Like when I'm in a terrible mood, I put on Elf. Because it's like, how could you be pissed if Elf is on, you know? Oh yeah, Nick's in the other room. As Good as It Gets. He just reminded me, that's a good one. Any like Nancy Meyer type movie is really heartwarming and easy to follow. Nothing too like anxiety inducing or anything like that. Candles, absolutely. I have that here. Or you can do essential oils. Maybe like a special body wash that feels really indulgent and you go take like a nice warm shower. Just something to take care of yourself after you've just emotionally been through hell that whole day. It's a step beyond self-care, really. It's like intended to be very indulgent and calming. Yeah, no Adam Sandler screaming. If you have not seen Uncut Gems yet, and if you're an anxious person, I swear to God, the whole time I'm watching this movie, and we had to do it in 3 parts because I could feel my hormones getting messed up. I was sitting there, I'm like, this is fight or flight. Like I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the adrenaline, and I don't even know what the hell he's screaming about. Like it's the most, you have to see it to understand. It's almost worth it just to understand what the hell I mean. / not make me feel like I'm crazy. But yeah, you know, make your list. This is a big one. Focus on creating a hormone-friendly comfort food list, but don't think about having enough to make like recipes or to make specific things. Think of basics that you need to have in your house that you can like schlop together if need be, and you can come up with something good. Like, you know, you need what? For any baked products, you would need the almond flour, xanthan gum, stuff like that, you know? So just keep those staples in your house so that if you need aftercare, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go make a chocolate chip microwave cake. I don't know, whatever floats your boat, but make sure you have those picked out and you have the stuff. So especially these days. If you want to curse someone out that you usually care about, here are some tips I'm going to give you, because the tides of friendships and connections have been changing lately. So before I get into that one, let me see this chat. So random, but plucking my eyebrows and doing a few extra steps of skincare is great aftercare for me. Hell yeah. Have at it. You want to come do mine? Oh my God. I was like, I'm going to let them grow this whole time that we're in quarantine. So I have this canvas to chisel away from, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh my God. I feel like I have dark wires growing out of my head. Sheet masks for aftercare. Yeah, absolutely. You know, you want to think about something that is like, has a sensation to it as well. Like, you know, if you have a lotion or whatever, here's a tip. get a warm towel, like wet a dish rag or something, microwave it for a few seconds just so it's warm, and wrap the lotion bottle with it. So you can warm up your lotion beforehand, because I don't know, it sucks. You have a nice relaxing shower and you put cold ass lotion on and it's just like, you know, so just something indulgent. Could be little, could be big, could be food, whatever. Okay. So when you want to curse someone out who you usually care about and like, first stop, and I would write it out in a note in your notes first. Write it out in your notes, get it out, write it exactly how you want to write it in that moment, and then set your alarm in your phone for either 2 hours or the next day, depending on how you're feeling. Go do something else. Read the thing you wrote in 2 hours or the next day. Read what you wrote, and either don't send it if you don't no longer think that you should, or edit it accordingly, or don't. But give yourself that time to do that, to think that through. Not because the feeling of what you want to say is any less valid, but because when you're emotional, maybe what you want to convey, the way you're conveying it won't be effective. You could still stick it to them if you want to stick it to them. By all means, I'm not telling you to be some little sheep, but like, maybe you want to say it differently. Maybe you think of a better way to say it. I don't know, but it helps a lot, you know. This is an important part I wrote here. So the world isn't waiting and watching to see what you respond. If it's on a post, a lot of times you can feel the pressure, and boy, don't I know it, to just respond and to just, you know, like, oh my God, she's going to ignore that this person said that. No one is giving it more than 2 seconds of thought. Everybody, there's so much shit going on social media right now. People's attention span is like, oh. So don't, whatever, take time. Don't pressure yourself into rushing. My favorite saying here, this is a good one. Someone else's urgency is not your emergency. So don't let someone else sitting there, and again, the thermostat, don't let someone else trying to, you know, make your temp go up. You're the thermostat. You control that. Okay. So take a little bit, take those 2 hours, wait till the next morning, whichever you want to do, and really think about it and think it out. Don't become an asshole because someone else is being an asshole. That's a little bit of thermostat, but it's a lot of it, you know, the high road doesn't mean being quiet, but you can get your point across really well and not have to stoop to someone else's level of anger or emotion. Okay. So it's more satisfying when you say your piece and you can back your stuff up and you move on accordingly, according to what you want to do, whether that's reconciling or telling them to go scratch, whatever the case may be. It's a lot more satisfying when someone else's emotion doesn't incite emotion out of you, when you can control that temp and know that you stood behind what you felt. Okay. I wrote it again, get off social media. It's a cesspool. Like, it's just crazy, you know. Say your piece, get what you need to get out of it, but do not continue seeing the same regurgitated friggin' dialogue over and over and over again. Okay. At least not the whole day. Take breaks. If a friend comes at you aggressively, okay, so the best thing, and I do this all the time, and this is what I recommend to my clients too, whether it's in your relationship, whatever, whenever somebody comes at you aggressively, your first instinct is going to be to rise your temperature, meet them at their emotion, and respond the way they are. Don't. Stop and do this. Ask them calmly, why are you so angry with me? And genuinely listen to their response. It's hard. It's really hard, especially when you're like, why are you being an asshole to me? Like, why are you coming at me like this? Why are you so mad at me? And then wait, okay? And actually listen. Don't listen just to think of a defense. Don't listen to just think of a response. Listen, because if you care about this person and you've had a long relationship with them, a long-standing relationship with them, and nothing up until this point has made you question them. Now, just try to see where what they're saying is coming from. It doesn't mean you have to accept it. It doesn't mean you have to like it, agree with it, or need to remain their friend. But having that piece, that insight to understand why they feel so strongly, at least leaves you feeling like this person ruined our friendship or made our friendship harder or made me feel upset because it's something they feel passionately about. And even if, again, you think it's ridiculous, you can have a little bit more humanity behind it than assuming that they just threw away this relationship of yours. Because in their eyes, they're not just throwing you away, they're just not communicating the way that they should, or they're just an asshole, either one. So at least stopping, listening to them, trying to figure where could this be coming from? Like, is it just pure ignorance? Is it because they're going through something, whatever. Don't take too much time doing this. It's not your job to figure other people's shit out, but at least have that self-peace about it. And then you can say, agree to disagree. You could ignore them. You could tell them to go scratch, whatever. Repair if you feel it's a healthy relationship. But how you feel in the situation can remain with your temperature remaining at the way it's supposed to be if you just ask why they're mad and try to take in what they're saying. And then act accordingly. I have just removed so many people in the past few days, and I know you guys have too. I've been getting a lot of texts from you guys, a lot, like our calls have been around this, and it feels like we have this moral obligation to make these finite decisions. But really, it's just things about people we haven't had to know up until this point. And if you were to hear these parts of these people's personality along the way of becoming friends with them, who knows if you would have ended up becoming friends. And that is something sad, to realize that someone that you thought was different ended up being someone you don't want to be friends with. You have a right to make that decision, as do they, and you don't have to get upset to make it. And then you just process it after the fact. I say this like it's very simple. I understand, and I know you guys understand. It's not, hey, you're going to feel emotional about it. I'm here to help you as well if you need to talk. But the basic concepts are: don't bottle it up. Don't keep yourself miserable in that environment, constantly reading the same thing. Choose what you do with your time. Be intentional with your time. Get it out when you feel it bubbling up. Do something. I saw someone wrote gardening, and I just realized in my notes here, I wrote, do a strenuous garden cleanup, because I pulled weeds out the other day, and let me tell you, there is no better stress relief. I'm just saying, at least on my lawn. Those things, my God, it's like prehistoric roots. But anyway, so get it out, and then aftercare. Leather optional. No, just aftercare, and just be diligent with it. Take it seriously. Self-care, sometimes we can just kind of back burner it. But when you have a stressful day, think of it as a symptom. Like, think of it as, I'm doing this for my hormones. Just as much effort as you put into anything else, you need to make sure that you're putting effort into being diligent about your aftercare, so you can bring those hormones down. You can make sure that they're not affecting your sleep, which is affecting the next day and affects your food choices. Hormones are very closely connected to how stressed we are and how little sleep we're getting. So that's what I have for you in terms of, for you yourself, in terms of friends. Wait 2 hours or until the next day if you want to curse them off. Write what you want to write in the meantime in your notes. Set that timer, review it when it's up, and see if you would edit it or not send it or whatever, and make your decision from then. And then if a friend comes at you aggressively, just stop them and say, why are you so angry at me? Let them explain. By the way, if they continue to attack you, though, you do not have to sit there and listen and try to understand where it's coming from. If they full on attack you, you can just quickly block. You don't have to entertain it. Who gives a shit what they have to say? If they're going to talk to you like crap, you don't have to stand for that. This is just like a concerned friend who's like, I'm so disappointed, So keep that in your back pocket for that. not all relationships, even if it's a scary confrontation, need to necessarily end. But you do have the right to just be like, and put the brakes on and keep your temperature the same. Let me see this chat. Okay. It's good. Everyone, I like kissed a dude I used to date the other day and thought to myself that what the hell was I thinking? Wait, what do you mean? Tell me more because I'm intrigued. Abby, very true. You can understand what caused someone to say something without agreeing with what they said. Maybe they just don't fully understand something, and you can be the person who helps them understand and become more educated. Yes, but know that it's not your job to educate them either. It is too hard to not know how to look up or look into something. You know, it's too hard not to do that in 2020. We have a computer at our fingertips. You know, it's if the opportunity presents itself where you could educate someone who is wanting to be educated or willing to be educated, then by all means. But you can definitely, like, you can understand where they're coming from and then still say to yourself, like, you know, hopefully they think differently one day. And at least give yourself the closure of knowing, like, okay, I can't change that person. I can't, it's up to them, you know. But absolutely, if it's somebody who is like open to being educated or wanting to, and you feel like educating, because it's not anyone's job to have to do that, then it could be an opportunity for a lot different of a conversation where it seemed like it was just going to be your, you know, meeting defense. I don't know, I was putting up with him in my life before, and I'm at a point where he's just not what I want in my life now, like I thought in the past. Hell yeah, girl. I love to hear that. Okay. People are being so intense about everything and so sensitive about not having the same opinions and snapping at each other. It's too much. Definitely go back and watch the recording of this. You'll definitely find a lot of value in it. And then realize my health and mental health well-being is better with that. Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's so intense. Lachita, it's so intense that the tips I gave you today, I swear, I feel like I've had to use them for the past week in a row. And that's why I'm offering this lesson to you guys. It's not to be like, I know how to not let it bother me, but if you guys have it bother you, use this. Trust me, though, like, I've needed it. I've really needed it. So if you guys want to text me, if you need any help with it, any ideas, if you need me to elaborate on anything I went over in here, feel free to text me. I'm going to post this recording immediately. Like, I'm not getting up from this desk until it's posted. So it'll be right back up in the page in a few minutes. But yeah, please be safe, everybody. Please be healthy. Consider yourself. Consider your hormones. I'm here if you need me, if you need support, or you have any questions at all. Don't be strangers. Enjoy the rest of your week as much as possible, okay?